Gem Mint wouldn't have any problems with my spawn. This is Groundeffected. My name is your dad, and this video was sponsored by Zez Studios. But before we paint the model, I've obviously got to print this thing, and my slicer of choice has always been Lychee. And luckily, Zez already fully supports his models with some of the best supports in the industry, meaning I can just drop them into Lychee, and it is gonna be able to print. Lychee for me has been an absolute game changer. I'll be totally honest, you can get it for free, but it is definitely worth getting the pro version, because this enables you to do things like support blocking and 3D hollowing and genuinely many other things, which luckily Zez's supporter is already using a lot of these features in order to make sure that your prints are super successful every time. I really like the fact that I can save all of my printers in here. It gives me a nice little picture so that I know exactly what printer it is, and it's easy to use. There are many profiles for you to choose from, and it gives you a rating as well. If other people have used that printer with the specific resin, this makes your slicing journey so much easier. I am a Lychee slicer ambassador. This means that there is a link in my description which, if you purchase Lychee Pro, it will automatically give me a little bit of kickback towards the channel, and you will get the best slicer you can possibly have. Now obviously, once sliced, you're gonna need to print these things, and my printers of choice at the moment are the Uniformation series of printers, and this covers a wide variety of ranges of different resins and things that I would possibly be using. I genuinely just use one resin and I don't do anything fancy, but never mind any of that. I will then rinse them off and then cure them. So I've just figured out that I'm a dummy, and basically, let me explain. So I printed everything that I thought I needed. In fact, I had so many plates going that I had every single printer in this whole damn shop working. But because of the cape being a full cape, I did fail to check that there was in fact a collar that goes with this guy, which means I need to print it, otherwise I have no model. But I'm obviously running for time here, and the issue that I have is that these printers, while print very nicely, are not the fastest printers on the planet. This one is a fast one. However, you may notice there is no VAT in that printer, and this is because this VAT has got an issue. I had a small leakage and I had a small print failure, which means I need to replace the FEP, which means that the troubles never end here in Groundeffected. Now I'm going to leave everything to be curing, and while it cures across my multiple curing machines, I'm going to go and change that stupid FEP. Yeah! Don't you just love the absolute amount of screws that need to be removed in order to change a stupid sheet? Yeah! The VAT that I'm changing the FEP in is for my Saturn 4 Ultra, and the reason I'm using this machine is because of all of the machines that I have. This is currently the fastest machine that is still in service in my fleet of printing machines, and so obviously I can't be printing fast if I don't have a freaking FEP in the bottom of my VAT to even be able to print with in the first place. And annoyingly, this is just one of those things of 3D printing. If you have a 3D printer and you think you will not change a VAT, you must be extremely rich, or you are just very badly mistaken. I can now take that stupid cape piece that I forgot to print and shove it in, and within a couple of hours it will be out. I'm gonna then put parts of the model together with a little bit of glue and some hopes and prayers. It just occurred to me that Spawn without his collar is actually Vecna from Stranger Things. Now, before we even get into painting this model, I've got to be totally honest with you here. This is far outside my realm of area of expertise. I am a hero character painter. I like bright colors, saturation, and all things bright and colorful and powerful. I am not so much of a dark painter, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge for me, and I'm going to try to attempt to keep things dark without getting too bright and cheery. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to be using a bunch of browns and greys to dry brush this base. The base needs to be a browny kind of mud color, and the chair that he's sitting in is obviously made out of rocks, but I want some of that brown to come through underneath so it looks like the rocks have kind of like blown out of the sand, or even at least that it looks like it belongs in the same area. Because if you just dry brush this top section separately from the bottom section with different colors, it's gonna look weird and they will not look like they're part of each other. and I just feel like that's the incorrect way to do things. I'm gonna use some grays when I do this. What you may notice is that as I go up through the brightness of the grays, I'm using quite a bright, almost white color, which I call deck tan, because it's actually written on the bottle that it's called deck tan, so probably everyone calls it deck tan, but let's not worry about who and what calls what, and let's just look at those colors that I'm using. Notice how I added a little bit of them just near the part where the top portion sits, and I then came back with this red leather over the top of that. This was to brighten the red leather, but you will also notice that that red leather is not the same color as deck tan, and the deck tan is the thing that is basically separating this base from the chair that sits upon it. Now I'm going to take one of my dark grays and paint that over the rocks. I'm pretty sure this was just black gray from Vallejo, and it is a nice matte grayish color. It is a little bit on the cool side, but that is okay because it will help to stand out against this orangey reddish base that I've already started to create. And I'm going to paint over every single rock on the base. These don't need to be painted fancily. If you go out the outlines, it doesn't matter that much because you won't really see this too much. We're going to cover up a lot of this work later on. Those browns that we had dry brushed on the base were a good undercoat for the skulls, and I can now take a small dry brush and I can pretty much almost wet brush with my dry brush over the top of them. It's kind of like called overbrushing, I'm sure. I don't really care about the semantics of names of things, as you may already have told by even the beginning of this video. If you've never seen any of my other videos, you will know that I do not care about the names of things other than whether it looks good or not. And in order to make this look good, by the way, I took a little bit of a dark brown wash and sprayed that with my airbrush on a low pressure around the edges of the skulls. And this was just to cover up any of the stray dry brushing strokes that may have touched anywhere else. And obviously this bright of a color on top of those sandy colors will stand out like a sore thumb. So in order to give those skulls a little bit more shape and definition, I'm going to take some skeleton horde through my airbrush and spray it around the edges, but also mostly from the bottom. You can see I'm leaving a highlight on the top portion of the skulls. Also, in order to tie everything together a little bit more, I'm going to use some of this pigment powder, which is going to go between the base and the chair that is on top of the base, because I need these two colors to sort of tie with each other. Annoyingly, when you paint with this pigment powder stuff, it does cover up a lot of the textures that you may have put down with your dry brush. So this means later on you will need to come back and put them back. In order to seal this in, I'm going to use a matte varnish. This is from Collectible, which also is the brand of the primers that I've been using, and there should be links for most of these things in my description down below, hopefully. If not, well, I'm so sorry about that. It's only me that's missing out and not you, because you can search these things on the internet and find them. The only difference is that now I won't be earning a commission if I'm dumb enough to not put them into my description. Anyway, let's not worry about the inside life of a YouTuber, and let me tell you about exactly what I was talking about earlier. Adding those details back on to the top of everything after it has lost them when you put that powders on. You saw me do that, but I'm not doing that currently, and I should probably tell you what I'm doing, which is adding this glow effect, which I think is some kind of a magic power, or at least it's whatever whenever I see Spawn, he has this green glowing stuff around him, and this is that stuff, I'm pretty sure. And if it's not, well, again, I don't know anything about this character. Is not the kind of character that I would read the comics of. I know of him, I've seen him, I know his name, I can recognize him in a lineup of fugitives. However, Spider-Man is way better than Spawn, and you can argue that in the comments down below. I don't really care. What I'm doing is actually using deck tan to paint out all the areas of where that light is going to be. I will then come back with a white. In this case, I used the Collectible primer because it just flows really nicely in my airbrush, and I will spray that over everything on a low pressure in order to create a haze around those lines, which I can then come back with a fluorescent color, in this case green, and paint that over the top of it, which will help to make it look like it is glowing. And while I do that in the background, I want to quickly tell you about the sponsor of this video, which is Zez Studios. And this model that I'm painting comes from a new tier called called the Ultimate Experience tier. This means that you get early access to statues before anyone else and one extra throne or museum post statue. Now Zez Studios creates some of the most epic statues you will find, with some incredibly complex bases and things that just seem to fit so well into a collection. If you really like the style of collectible statues, then Zez is one of those patrons that you definitely want to be joining, because you will get some incredible models, a massive range and variety of choice, but also they are all pre-supported, meaning you don't have to worry about a thing. You download that, click print, and off you go. Go check them out in my description down below. I'm going to get back to painting the model, and I want to tell you about how I painted the skin for this. It is super simple. I do not want to go overboard with that, and I used a grey-greeny kind of color to just give it a highlight. I'm going to put it aside and forget about it for now. Then I'm going to add a zenithal, leaving a lot of black in the shadows of this model. That is because when I spray the reds over the top of this, in this case is going to be Blood Angel's red, it is a little bit see-through. This means that the shadows are going to be quite dark and the highlights are going to be nice and bright red, which is the exact color we want for the spawny dude. I have had a couple of comments in my comment sections asking about pressures when I spray. In this situation where I'm spraying a solid color, a primer, or just painting a large base over things, I'm going to be spraying at my highest pressure that I can on my compressor, which in this case is literally 50 psi. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't want any blockages in my airbrush, and as you can clearly tell, it does not create any problems whatsoever. When I'm spraying any of these varnishes, it's going at the highest pressure I can. This way I force the paint out without letting any of it dry. Now people may argue with you about this, or in fact they might argue with me. I don't know, I don't actually care who they argue with, but the reality is that there are over 300 statues that I've painted in this fashion on my channel alone, and this isn't even touching the surface of how many I've actually painted in the last few years. So I don't really care what the experts have to say, because I'm doing this every single day myself, and it's just air, so it's not like I have to save the air, because no one has got any campaigns about saving air. I want to quickly move on and not talk about air saving campaigns, and I want to talk about this magical fluff on his arm. There is a couple of different things going on this dude's arm, also on his legs as well. He has some horns in the wrong place. Horns are supposed to be on your head, but apparently his shoulders and legs have horns, and so for these I painted deck tan over them, and then I literally just slapped a load of skeleton horde on the top. This is gonna look messy and terrible, but I will clean this up a little bit later using my airbrush in order to just make it look a bit softer and smoother. Obviously the ideal way would be to airbrush each one individually, but I have not got any inclination to be masking any of this stuff off and do it bit by bit. So I'm gonna do it this way. It makes more sense to me to just get all the crevasses nice and dark, and then I can spray an airbrush over the top to kind of tie it all in later. I don't actually know what color his things are supposed to be. There's 3 skulls, one on each nipple and one across his anyway, those are just easily just dry brushed with a silver, and I sprayed skeleton horde into the shadows of them to make them look a little bit dirtier. Again, like I said, he has horns on his legs, and so those horns on his, and to be fair, it's one leg, not both legs, but that one leg did need to have its horns painted, and like I said, I painted them with deck tan, and once they were sufficiently the color they needed to be, I can then change that color, because obviously white horns is a bit weird, and so I'm going to use again the skeleton horde, which is a great color, to be honest, for things like this, because when it goes over the lighter areas, it's a nice yellowy kind of tint that's not too yellow, but also when it goes over the deeper parts, it goes darker and almost like a brown color, so it's a really good color for exactly the situation. In fact, it's so good, I'm gonna just spray it with my airbrush, like I said. Also, this I sprayed over the skins too, and you can see this helps to make the skin look a little bit gross, which I guess is kind of the thing that this guy's skins would need to be. I don't know, honestly, like I said, this is kind of out of my wheelhouse and not the kind of thing I would usually do. Now, using that Blood Angel's red, I will use a brush to paint this over the top of the magical stuff on his arm. Now, of course, you want to make sure to not let the layer dry, or at least the line of paint dry, when you're using contrast paints like this, because if it dries, you will see a clear distinct difference from the new paint that you have put down and the dried paint you put down earlier. It does layer over the top of itself, much like a felt pen on a piece of paper, and so with this in mind, I'm going to work it very carefully and make sure everything is covered nice and solid. Now I'm going to take a semi-gloss varnish and spray that over everything. I sprayed that on an entire Spawn model because someone told me he needed to be shiny, and so I did this. Might regret this later, but if I don't, also again, I don't really care, and that information is only for that person that told me that I should make it shiny. This has nothing to do with the video, but what does is actually painting the markings on this dude. Now this kind of stuff always terrifies me because any mistakes made here will be a problem, because it would mean I have to go back to square one. Luckily with this kind of a model it's not so bad, but if you've just painted a load of skin tone and you're now doing markings over the top and you make a mistake, it's going to be a sad time, and I cannot be bothered with sad times. I do not care. But what I do care about is putting shadows into things, and for the markings on this model, I'm going to use Skeleton Horde. Yes, you guessed it, this is taking over from the Decktown spot, but realistically this color is so versatile, it's just fantastic. I'm then going to put that satin varnish over the top of it, and you can see how it looks when it is dried. It is shiny, but not too shiny. I'm then going to add all the little parts together, and I can now put this dude sitting in his chair while I work on his face. Again, more markings on the face that are difficult, and this is not the typical Spawn character either. I do not know enough about this guy to know what is typical and what isn't typical, so I did a little bit of research in order to figure out how these markings fitted on his head, and I basically came up with this. Yes, there are incredible good renders for you to use from Zez, but annoyingly it is a little bit of a dark character, which means that it's tough to see where these things fit, and so using a bit of research I was able to kind of deduct where I think these markings would be. I think I managed to get it close enough that it is recognizable, and when I'm done with that, I'm going to paint over his eyes with the same Decktown because it needs to be set up for the base that I'm going to put over the top of it. I'm then going to take that Tesseract Glow and spray it over the top, but before I do that, obviously, as you can clearly tell, I had a bit of a voiceovering blunder here, and I just used Skeleton Horde to put the shadows in, because I didn't want to ruin the Tesseract Glow, and then I did the Tesseract Glow, and sprayed the glow into his eyes. And after that, I put a little specular highlight into each eye, which meant I can put the head on this model and not call it done, because I need to take that same Tesseract Glow and spray it a bit into his knot. This is to create the glow coming between his legs and also on the insides of his arms, because the glow is obviously going to bounce off of there from his throne. Same thing on the cape as well. I can then change the saying, and instead of putting a head on this model, I'll put the body on the model and call this one done. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. You have obviously reached the end of yet another painting in a Groundeffected video, and I would like to say a massive thank you to everybody. At this point though, I want to say even huger thank you to my Patreons who help keep the lights blinding my eyeballs so that I can make videos every single week. I want to say if you do join my Patreon, you get behind the scenes pictures, you get work in progress stuff, there is printable palettes for you to print out so that you can see every paint that I've used in every single model. It is a hoot over there. I guess that is what the cool kids would say. I would like to also say a massive thank you to Zez for sponsoring yet another video, and if you are interested in them, please go check them out in the description below. Incredible models, and you will not be disappointed. This is the part of the video where I get to say my favorite thing, and that is if you didn't like anything you saw in this video, I don't care, and fuck off.